There's one habit that I've consistently done for over 13 years, and this habit has fundamentally changed my life and fundamentally shaped the way that I think. And that habit is journaling. So I've journaled consistently since 2012. I've written over 1,400 entries, and that's about equivalent to 2 full-length novels over about 500 pages each. I'm going to break this video up into 3 sections. Why you should journal, what are the benefits, what does it do for you, how to go about journaling, and my specific method that's helped me be consistent for over 13 years now, and some additional methods you can use if my method does not work for you, or if you'd like to just switch things up with how you're currently doing them. There's a lot of benefits to journaling, and which ones will happen for you or which ones appeal to you, it just really depends on you and your situation. For example, journaling can keep you grounded and grateful and humble. If you regularly write down the things you're grateful for, you have a safe place to talk about your emotions, work through things. It reduces stress. You gain clarity on your thoughts and feelings. Journaling also encourages learning and growth. It causes you to be self-aware, to be introspective, to think deeply about your thoughts and your feelings and emotions, and how you're learning and growing, to assess what you're doing now and if it's even working, and to see where you can do better. And it really, really encourages personal growth. Another reason why journaling is so great is it provides a personal history. If you write down your day-to-day actions and what's going on and how you are interested in certain things, or if you're hanging out with certain people, or whatever's going on in your life, if you do that every single day, you preserve your memories for yourself and your future kids or anybody down the road that wants to read anything. But it also allows you to go back and to see exactly what you were doing in life on a particular day. The reason why that's beneficial is you can see what you cared about, who you cared about, what you were doing. And in my case, whenever I do that, I see just how far I've come since that time. And it's really satisfying to see growth, significant growth over that time. Another thing journaling does is you can plan for the future. You can write down your goals, things that you would love to accomplish, and then write down how you're going to get there, and then the updates as they happen of what things you're running into that are hard, or maybe some successes that you've had. It's a great way to document your plans and your successes so you can achieve a lot in the future. Journaling for me really boils down to 2 things, and that is keeping a daily record for myself. What that does is it allows me to go look back on myself 1, 5, or 10 years or whatever, and see what I cared about, see what I was doing, and to see the growth. And number 2 comes from E.M. Forster, the English novelist, and I really can't say it any better than him. How do I know what I think unless I see what I write? We spend so much time consuming the thoughts and opinions of other people on a daily basis, and not enough time thinking deeply about our own thoughts and our own opinions and what we care about and what we want to achieve. And we need more of that, and that's what journaling does. It requires you to think and organize your thoughts, to write them down. It demands that you are clear. It requires that you're organized, and it requires that you reconcile those inconsistencies, maybe in your thoughts and behaviors, or just how you think about a topic. When you write them down, it requires that you figure out what you actually think, and you need to commit to it as you write it, which I think is hugely beneficial, and it really does help you organize your thoughts, and it does fundamentally change the way that you think over time the longer that you do it. All right, so there are 4 levels to journaling. Level number 1 is writing down what you've done on a day-to-day basis. And this is the part of journaling that I really love, is keeping a record. Level number 2 is writing down what you are feeling, how you're feeling that day, what stresses you out, what excites you, what gets you up in the morning. It is about your inner thoughts and feelings. Level number 3 is writing about your next decisions and your actions that you're going to take in your life. This is the future planning. This is the goal setting. This is the working and striving towards something. And level 4 is doing them all at once. And that is the way that I prefer to journal is doing all three of those levels at the same time, and it's really not that difficult. So let's jump into my method for journaling and how I've been able to be so consistent over all these years. And since my highest priority when I journal is to document my day-to-day life, what I'm thinking, feeling, all those three levels, I journal at the end of the day, and this just makes sense for me. If I'm journaling about my actions throughout the day, it makes sense to journal about them at the end of the day when they're still fresh in my mind, when I know exactly what I did, how I felt, what made me laugh, how I learned and grew, all those things. It's better to do it while they're still fresh. So what I do is I take out my phone and I open up Google Keep. Now, I use Google Keep, it's just a simple note-taking app, because it's so fast and quick. And I already am using that app throughout the day multiple times. And so it's a tool that I'm already using, and I'm very familiar with it. It's not a unique app that I have to pull up that's specific for journaling or anything like that. It's just something that I already use that's super easy. And this goes right along with what's called the law of least effort, which James Clear talks about in his book, Atomic Habits. And what it says is, when deciding between two similar options, people will naturally gravitate towards the option that requires the least amount of work. So everything that you do requires a certain amount of energy, and the more energy something requires, the least likely you are to do it, especially if you're trying to form new habits. So knowing this, I use an app that I regularly use multiple times a day, and it is extremely easy. So when I open up Google Keep, there are a series of questions that I have at the top of my note. They are: what did I do today? What did I learn? How did I feel? What made me laugh? What am I grateful for? What am I working on? And what's coming up? So this may seem like a long list of questions, and it kind of is, but I don't robotically go through each one systematically and answer them. What I do is I simply write about my day, and as I write about the day-to-day events, I write about how I felt about it. Then I write about what I learned and plans that I've got for the future. And that's where that level 4 of journaling comes in, is I simply combine them all into one. Now, sometimes when I am done writing, I look and say, that's just not that much, or I want to provide a little more. And so that's where those questions really come into play, is I can always scroll to the top of the note, see what questions there are, what's interesting to me, and I can write about that thing if I didn't really include it much in with my regular entry. So after I am done writing about my day-to-day events, I have a section underneath that called Life Drafts. Now, what is a life draft? Well, it means a couple things. It's the name of my weekly newsletter where I talk about personal growth, creativity, and life design, or drafting a life that you love. And basically, it's things that I observe, learn, problems that I solved, or things that I was inspired by throughout the day. And that's the basis of my newsletter, and that's really where I get all my ideas for writing and for videos like this, is things that I observed or was inspired by on a day-to-day basis. So go subscribe to my newsletter to see exactly how this plays out in real life. And in the context for my journal, a life draft are simply observations or insights and inspiration from other people, things that require more thinking or deeper thinking. Years ago, before I came up with the name Life Draft, I called them thoughts to explore. These are just simply things that are going to require more effort, maybe a little bit of research, or really figuring out how I think about it, what I actually think. And it requires clarity, it requires organization, and just a lot more effort in general. So the next part of my journaling process is the weekly hour of insight. And all that is I sit down for an hour at the end of the week. I open up my Google Keep, I copy and paste my journal entries and my life drafts of the week, and put them into a formatted Google document. And that's where I read everything that I wrote for the week. I add any additional context or thoughts or, things that I've learned, or any summaries that I'd like to add, or anything like that. The reason why I do this, and this is arguably the most important part of my journaling process, is that in my day-to-day events, I don't always see the significance of what's going on, or I don't always see patterns from a day-to-day perspective, or things that I'm not doing enough of, or things that I'm doing too much of, or things that I'm not doing correctly, anything like that. In the weekly hour of insight, I get that time and I get that perspective to see the week as a whole, which allows me to see patterns and see growth. And it's really motivating, really enlightening, and it allows me to really, really learn and grow. Learning and growth for me doesn't really happen on a day-to-day basis that I can consciously see it's happening, but I'm not aware of it. I'm really aware of it on a week-to-week basis where I can see some of these things that I've been thinking about or going through during the week. And I always add a little bit more, and it's always really insightful. I also do this with my life drafts. I'll take that and I'll put that in a separate document where I will add maybe a little bit more context so that I know exactly what I need to think about or what I need to discover or learn or research. And I have that in a separate document as well. So I do this compilation for a few reasons at the end of the week. I learn and grow best when I can see the whole week in front of me, and that's where I gain a lot of insights and clarity like I talked about. I have a formatted, organized, searchable document in Google Docs that I can access at any time. I can search words or phrases, and I can go back and see exactly what I was thinking about that thing. And as a full-time graphic designer, this last one hits pretty hard, which is I have all of the text digitally so that if I want to create anything with my journals in the future, I have the text ready to go and I can just go get started on that. So this entire journal process may seem like a lot, but in reality, it's only 2 hours a week and it's 10 minutes a day. That's all it takes for me to journal every single day is 10 minutes. And it's really, really quick and easy. And what I gained from those 10 minutes or those 2 hours per week is insanely valuable, and it is worth every second that I spend. And honestly, I would probably gain more if I spent more time on it. So let's look at a few different journaling methods that you can try for yourself. The first is the 6-in-1 method by Clark Kegley. This one is using a physical journal where you divide your journal up into 6 different categories. This could be business, family, health, adventure, friends, and finances. And what you do is you journal about each of these categories throughout the week, keeping them separate. This allows you to focus on one category at a time and to really track progress in that specific thing. The reason why this is great is if you love to compartmentalize your life and to focus on one thing at a time, this is perfect for you. The next method we're going to talk about is the Odyssey Plan. This comes from a book called Designing Your Life. It's 3 main questions. How would your life look in 5 years if you continued on your current trajectory? How would your life look in 5 years if a significant aspect of your current life disappeared? So this could be a job, a key relationship. And then the third one is, how would your life look in 5 years if you pursued your absolute dream regardless of limitations and regardless of caring what anybody else thinks? These 3 questions will take you probably a long time to answer. And if you did this consistently, if you did this once a quarter, answered these questions, I know that you would gain a lot of insight into what you're thinking, what you care about, your current trajectory, where you're headed, all that stuff. The next method of journaling you can try is the gratitude journaling, but with a future focus. So instead of just focusing on current blessings or past blessings that you're grateful for, you talk about future possibilities. And this is things you're grateful for in advance. And it's a different way of thinking. It's things that haven't necessarily happened yet, but you are preemptively being grateful for them. So when they do, and if they do happen, that you are already in a place to receive them. And it's a different mindset shift, and it can be really powerful. And the last method that we're going to talk about is the best possible self. So imagine yourself in a future having achieved all your goals and living a fulfilling life. Your task is to describe this ideal life and who you are in this ideal life in detail, focusing on your accomplishments, relationships, your personal growth, what you do on a day-to-day basis, and how you achieved that thing. What this does is it puts your mind in the future of already achieving something, and you magically know how to achieve that thing. And if you do that, you will be really surprised of what you write down and those things that you already know that you should be doing to reach that life that you deem ideal. So if you're looking to start a habit of journaling, or if you've already been at it for years, I put together a free resource that will help you get started or will help you spice up what you're already doing. Get that in the link below, along with signing up for my newsletter, The Life Draft, where you can see my journaling and my observations and inspirations come to life. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and subscribe for more videos like this.